A man jumped high then turned to jump into the water. A second later, he suddenly screamed and struggled in pain. After a while, he also stopped screaming, and was slowly pulled into the water. There were strong ripples in the area where he was sunk, which showed that this wasn't a simple matter. There was a diver who swam into a cave at the bottom of the river to explore. He discovered an object emitting a yellow light. So he approached and saw that this was a transparent wrap of fish eggs. The object inside looked like a cute little fish. The diver took off his diving gloves. He wanted to touch the roe. But suddenly he was attacked. His hand was bitten by something. Then he took out a flashlight to examine. In the weak light, he saw thousands of creatures bearing fangs. A second later, they frantically rushed to bite him. At this time, his teammate discovered that his seat belt was broken. And the earphones kept transmitting his pitiful cries. His teammate quickly came to see, but he was eaten by the fish. Not long ago, Mr. Matboy was fishing in the lake. He drank beer while listening to music comfortably. The fish then bit the hook, which caused the boat to shake and the beer bottle to fall to the lake. After that, the surface of the lake suddenly shook violently, and the lake bottom also sank. The surface of the lake appeared eddy that made the boat spin around. A herd of creatures rushed out from the bottom of the lake. Matboy then fell into the lake and these creatures rushed to bite him. After a while, the lake surface was calm again, and the boat was still floating on the lake. When receiving news that someone was missing, the FBI special agent came to investigate and discovered a boat was drifting ashore. Julie wanted to pull the boat back, but because of her carelessness, she fell into the water. She discovered a dead body in the water that made her scream. After that, the FBI brought a fish to meet the experienced professor. As soon as they put this fish in the tank, it immediately struggled. Seeing that, the old professor was dumbfounded and couldn't believe it. He tried to put his hand in the water. A second later, everyone was scared to scream. It turned out that this was a creature that lived millions of years ago, and was completely destroyed. They lived in groups and were extremely ferocious. As soon as they smelled the blood, they would immediately rush into attack. They were the longest living man-eating fish in the world. Perhaps the shaking at the bottom of the lake affected them, and caused the eggs to hatch. So they came back to life. Hearing that, the FBI was very shocked. Because this time was the tourist season, thousands of tourists were on the lake to enjoy the holiday. The FBI held a large megaphone and shouted that there are a lot of man-eating fish in the lake. So it's extremely dangerous. Quickly get to the shore. The tourists were playing so passionately that they thought he was lying. When the FBI finished speaking, they immediately jumped into the water. The great shaking on this lake attracted the man-eating fish. So they gathered in groups and rushed towards the humans. After that, the surface of the water instantly boiled like a boiling kettle. Seeing this, everyone panicked and ran away madly. The red color of fresh blood made the lake look like a pot of blood soup. The dance floor on the lake was like a tray of pork sausages being poured into the water. Countless people had become the food for the buffet of this school of man-eating fish. Seeing that, the FBI panicked and immediately rushed to save them. These black guys were so brave that they continuously shot at the fish. When they ran out of bullets, they immediately took off the boat's propeller and used it to crush the fish. There were already countless fish that were crushed, but at this time, they were coming in more and more. This school of fish was too crowded, and they gradually rushed to people. Seeing this, the man shouted loudly and told everyone to leave quickly. At this moment, there were only the bones of the dead like hell on earth. Julie got a phone call. Her child was playing on a yacht in a river. She also warned her son not to jump into the water. After that, she and the black policeman came to the rescue. Meanwhile, Julie's children were in the cabin and saw the fish through the glass, which made them extremely curious. When Jake and his sister were talking, the boat suddenly shook. It turned out the boat's propeller got caught in a patch of moss. The captain tried to steer the boat backwards, then pressed the accelerator hard to move forward. Fortunately, the boat was able to get out of the moss. But a second later, the boat crashed into a reef. At this time, the water had flooded into the boat. The shaking caused the two to fall into the water. Under the bite of the fish, there were only 2 skeletons left in an instant. The captain tried to struggle under the water. Seeing this, there was a girl on the boat hurriedly giving a paddle to help him. Although he clung to the railing, he was eaten by the fish with the lower half of his body. These man-eating fish were coming towards Jake's sister. He used his paddle to smash the door above. However, the water got into the boat, which caused it to tilt. So there were countless fish that rushed into the boat. At the most dangerous moment, Julie had arrived. Novak steered the boat to a suitable position. Julie threw a rope over, and then she tied the rope between the 2 boats. Julie clung to the rope and climbed into the boat on the other side. At the bottom of the boat, water had flooded in. The man-eating fish like rockets were surrounding Kelly. At this time, Kelly gripped the paddle tightly and hit the fish hard. The water level was getting higher and higher. There were countless fishes in the water opening their mouths to bite their prey. They swam around and waited for the boat to sink when the water level rose. Julie decided to save everyone over the boat on the other side first. After that, everyone clung to the rope and slowly climbed over. But unexpectedly, the man-eating fish went crazy in the water like addicts. A girl's hair was quite long, so it was bitten by fish. The pain made her scared. But unfortunately, she then fell and became a hearty meal for the fish. Julie climbed up in the middle of the rope, but unexpectedly, it suddenly came off. Fortunately, it got caught on the railing, but Julie was touching the surface of the water. She was about to be eaten by the fish. Seeing this, Novak quickly steered the boat to stretch the rope. So Julie was pulled up and the fish were also scared to run away. Kelly was still trapped under the boat. Jake decided to save his sister. He wanted to use the captain as bait. A second later, the captain's hand grabbed Jake and made him panic. But Jake still threw the captain down to attract the fish. Jake swam into the cabin. He found a light stick, and when he combined it with the walkie-talkie, it became a detonator that lured the fish. Through the walkie-talkie, he told Novak, "Steer the boat away in 10 seconds." Jake dived to the gas tank, and then opened gas cylinder valve. But unexpectedly, after 10 seconds, the boat couldn't run. At this moment, the detonator was floating in the water. The man-eating fish thought it was food, so they went there. They finally started the boat. At this time, the boat was dragging two people who was being chased by the fish. After that, there was an explosion happening, and the fish was blown to pieces. Fierce fish were floating on the lake. Jake and his sister were finally out of danger. At this time, the old professor called and said that, through his research, these man-eating fish were only in the juvenile stage. As soon as the professor finished speaking, there was a giant man-eating fish grabbing Novak. This movie had given us a message. Don't go to the lake where no one has come to swim, because we don't know if it's dangerous below. The movie comes here. Like and follow to see interesting videos.